A new study is looking into the link between type 2 diabetes and meat.
A new Harvard study links eating red meat with the risk of developing type 2 diabetes.
But researchers at Tufts studied data on nearly 3,800 middle-aged women. They found that those who ate more protein, most notably plant protein, were more likely to be free from chronic diseases.
You've been conned. There is no nutrition science, but there's a whole lot of nutritional advice being given based on nutrition studies. And in this video, we're going to talk about the problems with those nutrition studies. Problem number one, whenever any of these studies comes out, the media goes crazy. They need headlines, so the bigger the claims in the study, the better the headlines for them.
A new study says that eating egg yolks can raise your risk of heart attacks or stroke almost as much as smoking.
And of course, the studies say it, the media reports it, and the public accepts it. The result? People get scared to eat the foods that they should be eating, or they get so confused they don't do anything and they continue on the bad diet. Problem number two comes down to trust. You can't trust the results of these studies. Firstly, because the results are compiled from food frequency questionnaires. And these questionnaires are often spread years apart. I don't know about you, but I can't remember what I did yesterday, let alone how many eggs I ate in January 2022. And even if people could remember what they ate, will they be honest? For example, have you ever been to a new doctor's clinic and you've been filling out a medical history form? It asks, how much do you smoke? When I was a smoker, I never wrote the real number. 1 or 2 a day sounds much better than 1 or 2 packs a day. Same with drinking. Social drinker sounds way better than binge drinker. And the same thing happens when someone's filling out a food frequency questionnaire. They're likely to fill out the form with some kind of bias, even if it's unconscious, which messes up any chance of getting accurate results. Additionally, there are things called confounders. Let's take a look at a very famous study, the chart from Ansel Keys' 7 countries study. This is a perfect example. The more saturated fat consumed by country, the higher the incidence of heart disease in that country. But what about confounders? Sure, the chart is showing something, but perhaps there's some other things going on here. For example, England, Wales, the USA, they might consume much more ultra-processed food than the other countries. They might be less active, both inside and outside of work, and they might generally be more separated from their family and community. They might be subject to more stress. They could be more likely to smoke. Many different things. All of these things and more play a role. Now, you'll hear researchers say that they adjust for these confounders. But there's only so much adjustment you can do, and these adjustments can only be made if the confounders are identified in the first place. And frankly speaking, if you're a researcher expecting a certain outcome, you might be likely to ignore some confounders if you think it's going to work in that outcome's favor. Problem number 3 is conflict of interest. Importantly, nutritional studies are often funded directly or indirectly by the people or corporations who are going to benefit from a particular outcome. Now, if you're buying a car and the salesperson recommends car A over car B, you would be pretty skeptical of that recommendation if you found out that the salesperson received more commission from car A sales than car B sales. Same goes for these studies. Problem number 4 is weasel words. Correlation is not causation, and these nutritional studies only ever show correlation. That's why you read words like linked to, associated with. It's the same thing when someone you've just met asks you to do them a favor. You don't want to say yes because you hardly know them, but you don't want to say no because you don't want to offend them. So you say maybe, or perhaps, or let me see. It's a get out of jail free card. At the end of the day, all of these nutrition studies are based on data that can't be controlled or verified. And if you can't control or verify something, how much can you trust it? The big problem is doctors, nutritionists, dietitians, and governments are making decisions based on the results of these studies. So when they recommend you cut down on the red meat or the eggs, or they say you should be eating more kale, they're basing this on nothing. They're basing this on studies that are not worth the paper they're written on. They're basing this on studies that are designed to muddy the waters and confuse you so you don't know what to do and you'll just continue doing the same old, same old. The way your body responds to the nutrition you're putting in it is a much better judge of what you should be eating than some researcher with an agenda. Want more proof? Check out this video next.